hours of a summer day, yeah. Am I reaching out for something I might never come my way? I'm holding on to dreams, and I'm living day to day. On my way to nowhere. On my way to nowhere. La 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 la.
Hello everyone, my name is John Robert Cruz and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be interviewing Joey DiGirolamo, who's the founder and the lead singer of a group from the 70s called Hokis Pokis, who had several hits starting with something called Nowhere. And if you grew up in that time, you know the song when you heard it as the opening credits came about. And I'm going to interview Mr. DiGirolamo about the Hokis Pokis group and how it started and some of the songs, Nowhere, Get Your Girl, Swing, and we're going to start right now. How are you doing, Mr. DiGirolamo?
Good, very good, thank you.
Okay, I want to thank you for coming to the show.
My pleasure.
And where were you born, Mr. DiGirolamo?
I was born actually in St. Albans, Jamaica.
Queens, right?
Queens, that's correct.
Okay, Italian-American family, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, when was the group Hokis Pokis formed?
The actual group Hocus Pocus was formed in 1971, the late part of 71.
Later part of 71. Okay, all right. How long have the current members of Hokis Pokis been performing?
Well, the current members and are still performing, we've been together since 1980, 79, 80.
Okay, all
It's
right.
been a while.
Okay. The song Nowhere was your breakout song, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay. When did you actually write the song?
I wrote that song in 1969.
69?
Right, and it was released in 1975.
75, okay. What inspired you to write the song Nowhere?
Well, it started out, I had another group, and we had records, and we were ready to tour. Little personal differences between a couple of the members split that group up. So at that point, I was in the middle of, before starting Hocus Pocus, and trying to figure out what I was doing. I was writing music, and I had written this song because I was sort of inspired by, I'm doing all of this and I'm going nowhere.
Right.
But that's really where the song came about. And I wrote the song, and I brought it around, showed a lot of people, and everybody said, nah, never be anything. Go home.
Go home with that piece of
Take
junk.
it home.
Wow.
Thanks for stopping by, but take it home.
Wow, that's interesting. So how did the song Nowhere evolve to become a record?
Well, as I said, Hocus Pocus started in 1971, 70, and we were playing the general nightclubs on Long Island, here and there. We played a couple of places regularly. One of the places was Copperfield's, and they were doing advertisement on the radio at the time. I think it was WPIX, Dennis Quinn. And at that time, they were doing advertising, like I said, and they were advertising which groups were playing what nights. So they were playing just generic music behind it. So I said to Chuck, the owner of the club, I says, well, how about if you use one of our songs? Since you're advertising we're going to be there, use one of the songs we wrote. So he says, sure. So we went into the studio, we recorded Nowhere. And we gave him the record, and they played it behind the commercials. Come to find out, actually, let me back it up a little bit. We wanted to have a few records for family, friends, grandma, cousins, people we knew. So we were going to press, at the time, were acetates. They were not pressed, they were actually cut records. And they probably would last maybe 100 plays, 20 plays, and they were garbage. And they were expensive. So the engineer at the studio, Master Sound Studio, he said, why don't you just press records? And we said, well, we don't know anything about that. He says, I'll hook you up. And he sent us to a place in Manhattan, and they actually pressed the records. He said, it's going to be a lot cheaper. So we went and got to Manhattan. They told us, need 1,000 records as a minimum order. What are we going to do with 1,000 records?
Right.
We only need a couple. So he said, but it still worked out cheaper. So we said, well, we'll sell them at the club, or we'll give them to people, or we'll do something with them. We'll put them on a wall, we'll do anything. We'll put them on our shoes. So he says, so we gave them, we got the records and we played. And we would sell the records at the club. And a couple of DJs from New York, some of the DJ pools in New York got a hold of it. And they started spinning it. Next thing we know, we got a call from Downstairs Records, which is in Manhattan.
Downstairs was 42nd Street one time.
Yeah, right,
43rd,
right, down by the subway.
Right.
And they said, we'd like to buy some records. So we said, sure, we had 1,000, we might as well get rid of them. So they asked for 500. We gave them 500 records. They called us the next day, and we said, we need 500 records. We
Wait,
said,
the next day?
The next day. They said, we need 500 records, they called us. We said, well, yeah, we were there yesterday with them. Because, oh, well, we know that. We need another 500 records. So we said, okay. So we had some records. We didn't have 500. We had a couple hundred left. And we gave it to them. And then we started getting calls. We started getting calls from distributors and people. We need 5,000, we need 2,000, we need 3,000, we need 10,000. We said, what are we doing here? We don't even know what we're doing. We ran into a couple of groups that we know. One of them was a group called Morningside Drive, who they were our frenemies. We played in the same club. We were buddies. And we walked in one night to see them play, and they said to us, hey, here come the big stars. We said, what are you talking about? They said, your record's a giant hit. It's all over the place. Don't you know anything? We said, no, we didn't hear anything about it. We know we're selling records to Downstairs Records, but that doesn't mean anything. And the next thing we know, we had a record that was busting out all over New York.
It was really hot in the disco scene, right?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was that Nowhere was the B-side. And Can't Wait for Love was the A-side. And the DJs were flipping the record and playing Nowhere.
Right. What year was that exactly?
That was 1975. We recorded the record in August, early September of 1975. October, we pressed the records and we were doing things. And in November, we signed with TK Records.
Well, what prompted Hokis Pokis to sign with TK Records Shield label? How did that come about?
Well, as I said,
there was other people interested too,
yeah,
right?
Polydor, Delight Records. We had a number of record companies which were very interested in the record because they saw all the noise and all the commotion it was making in this new disco phenomenon that was happening. And what happened was TK came to us and said, we know you have a lot of offers, but Henry Stone, who's a master at an independent record label, said, we can get this record out in 2 weeks.
Quick, right?
Quick. And this was in November, and everybody else was kind of saying, well, we're in the middle of the Christmas shipping and pressing, and, we'd probably be able to get it out after New Year's. The record was hot. We could have been dead by then.
Right. So that's how you signed with TK Records and the Shield label.
Yeah, correct.
All right. Now, how successful was Nowhere in retrospect?
Nowhere was very successful. We did a lot of touring, we did a lot of shows with a lot of people. The record sold a good amount of records. I don't know the exact count. I never really got the exact count, but it was very, very successful.